Hello, everyone. I welcome you to another insightful and impactful episode of our program, Building High Performing Teams on Amagate Radio Communications. I am your host, Titilola Ogushono. Last episode, we started our discussion on strategies for building high performing teams with our versatile and highly experienced guest, Mr. Adiola Gbadebo. We lay the foundation on the need to redesign organizations around teams. Every organization should be team centric. That is in Mr. Gbadebo's words. Also, we look at intergroup dynamics that a leader needs to create and maintain to ensure a high performing team. And today, we'll be delving further on the topic, still with our guest, Mr. for honoring us again with your presence.
I'm glad to be here once again.
It's really great to have you. And for those that are just joining us on today's episode, you are sure to have a very interesting, insightful, and impactful session with our guest. Mr. Gbadebo, I'm going to start with this. Okay? In 2010, academics from MIT, Carnegie Mellon, and Union College carried out a research and tested 192 groups. They found some very revealing results. They found that the main predictors of team success are social sensitivity, very interesting, the distribution of conversational turn taking, and the proportion of female group members. I found these results startling. Okay, they also found that groups in which members took turns to talk, groups where a few people dominated the conversation. So, Mr. Gbadebo, I want you to kindly speak further on how this collective intelligence can be developed for a high-performing team.
Thank you very much, Titi. The last time we're talking about, the, dynamic, the group, the strategy for, creating high-performing teams. And if you look at it, even and it's in tandem with what this research results that you just read out has just shown us that, the two main things are very, very, important. And one of them is what we call the social dynamics, and the other one is the communication patterns. Now, when we work on those things, and then, we can fuse it with, gender diversity, we'll be able to, create, those high-performing teams. So let me talk about the first one. Now, so, and we have quite a few number of, things that the leader must take, must ensure for those teams. Now, you must encourage social sensitivity. Encouraging social sensitivity means, you help to promote a culture of empathy and understanding within the team. You want to ensure that everyone within the team is socially sensitive. And one of those things that will help them to be really socially sensitive is being highly emotionally, intelligent. So emotionally intelligent people understand that they need to create a safe, social environment for everyone to be able to thrive. They want to ensure because they understand the effects of their own emotions and whatever and their actions on the other members of the team. Now, so promoting diversity and inclusion within the team enhances social sensitivity. A mix of different perspectives and backgrounds can contribute to a richer understanding of complex problems. Now, if you have different people from different backgrounds, within a team, it helps. It makes the team robust. It's rich, because the kind of problems and challenges that the team will be will be faced with, those diversities will help to ensure that they can quickly overcome those challenges. Now, the second thing you can also do is to facilitate equal participation. Now, that research results spoke about the turn taking, that people they talk in turns. They want to allow, they're ensuring that everyone is able to speak. Now, sometimes most of us, we would like to hear our voices, so sometimes we overspeak, where we become domineering when we are speaking. You are sometimes only a few voices are speaking, and the others are not really speaking, and that's not going to create a safe, environment for people. People want to speak in an environment when they know that to speak. So, and if we can get carried away about some of the things that we're talking about, if you don't track, and manage, the speaking times of others. And there are technologies that can help to track those speaking times.
Okay.
Yes. Technology like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, you can actually, as the host in Zoom, you can actually know and see the time that someone has been talking, especially if you have the latest Zoom also. Now, Microsoft Teams helps that you can actually allocate, times for people, and then the clock will be counting down, and people know that, they need to round up whatever they're speaking about. A few others, Cisco WebEx, Kudo, Kahoot for Business, Meeting Pulse, TimeCube. There are quite a number of those, technology tools that we can use. With some of them, with some other smaller, tools that you can incorporate together and use it to track. You need to create an environment where members feel comfortable. They have to feel comfortable expressing their opinions. So this can be achieved through open communication channels with a leadership style that values input from all team members. Everybody in the team must feel valued, and that will help them to make their own contributions, and their input. Another thing is promoting gender diversity. One of the things that the research spoke about was that teams that had women in them, they also did better than the teams that were just with one gender or with fewer a mix of different genders. So when and this is, we need to be sensitive when we're hiring into into the organization and all that. We want to ensure that we have what we call inclusive hiring practices. Initiatives to support professional development of women in the organization. Sometimes the women, may not even qualify, but because you need to balance this, so you deliberately take them through a program that will build them and develop them, and they will be able to, contribute their quota into that. So you want to encourage an inclusive and respectful culture that values contribution from all team members, irrespective of their gender. Now, we also need to train everybody there on what we call effective communication skills, which include active listening. When a team member, and we have different strengths now. So if a team member is making a contribution, and we all seem to be doing or the other, we're not paying attention. But I say that person to keep, speaking. So you want to ensure that people are aware, and that in the way they communicate their statements, they don't bully other people. Then you also want to promote what we call collective accountability. You encourage a sense of shared responsibility for team goals. This is clearly, when you define team objectives, and you are trying to foster a collaborative mindset. You also ensure that you are recognizing collective achievements, and you reward those things. You want to the leader must ensure that there is a regular feedback. There's people get feedback. There's a regular team assessment and reflections on to identify areas of improvement and reinforce positive team behavior. Of course, we cannot downplay leadership development. That team leaders in effective leadership style that promote inclusivity and collaboration. So if every leader, everyone that is going to lead a team must be previously prepared from the different roles that they've been taking earlier on. You don't just make someone a team leader. Sometimes you may even be shocked that if there are people that have been working together for a long time and you put them together, you should ask them to elect their leader, because you have been doing a lot of work about leadership development in the organization. Then whoever is elected will be able to step into these shoes and display all these characteristics. We've always spoken about clear vision and goals, open communication, empowerment. Empowerment means that you are delegating responsibilities and you are empowering team members to make decisions. I spoke somewhere, and I was talking about when you delegate, you give people, you put people into position, but you withdraw the authority from them. They become like toothless bulldogs. So if you put someone, if you empower the people, that means they are able to make those decisions. So even if a team leader, maybe someone in the organization, uses his initiative to make some decisions and the decision happen to be a wrong decision, don't crucify that person, because what you are going to do is that once the person knows, and you are able to now coach the person to say, this is the reason why your decision didn't go, why it was wrong, and next time look at these are the dynamics you're supposed to consider before taking such decision. That's empowerment. This fosters a sense of responsibility and accountability. You also ensure that people develop their skills. They must different skills. So the team must go through trainings once in a while that will, some of the skill gaps that are identified can be taught, and then people will begin to rise up. So recognition and rewards. Everyone wants to stay where they are celebrated. Everyone wants to stay where they're celebrated. No one wants to stay in a place where they're being vilified every time. So you want to acknowledge and reward achievements. Your recognition is a powerful motivator because it reinforces positive behaviors. It reinforces positive behavior. I've spoken about the feedback culture, then collaboration and resource allocation. Ensure that team have the necessary resource tools and support to perform their best. So you put people in the team. You want to ensure that they are able to access the right, the technology that is needed, the backup, maybe it's network. If people are going to be in different places and they are going to be meeting, you want to support them. Ensure that where they are, they have data. If they are not able to use the office internet, if they are, how do they connect? Their connectivity outside. So you want to ensure that you do that. Then flexibility in leadership approach. Understanding unique strengths, working styles of each member. Now, so the leader, and we keep talking about the leader. The leader has a lot of work to do. Honestly, development of every organization, the growth of every organization, the growth of every team rests, a lot rests solely on the shoulders of whoever leads such teams, the leaders in that organization. Then there's conflict resolution. Also, you want to address conflicts quickly. So while establishing the team, some of the ground rules that have to be established, there are rules that talk about conflict, how conflict will be resolved within the team, because there will be counter opinions, and sometimes because everyone is we are strong about expressing our opinions, we can brush as each other, one another in a group, and then we must know how to resolve those things quickly and resolve it there, ensuring that people are not being attacked. But you can attack the points, you can talk about opinions, but you are not attacking personality when while trying to express our opinion. So sometimes you may not even be attacking personalities, you may even be attacking the point, but you may be attacking that point in such a way that the person also knows that, man, you're talking to me. When you say that, no, that's a foolish idea. So if you say something, that's a foolish idea, the implication is that the person who voiced that idea is foolish. And then you don't want to say that to a melancholy, and that's why we talked about the sensitivity of the leader. And immediately the leader, once such statements come out, the leader must arrest it and say, no, we don't do that here. You need to apologize to that person. Say, no, I'm not saying that you're a fool. I'm saying, just say that you disagree with that point. Don't say it's a foolish idea. So once people see, because immediately the leader, does not, if he fails to take care to tackle that infraction right there, you have just sealed the voice of one person and others who have not spoken. So you're not going to get them to respond, because already they now begin to guide themselves. They build that world that you are trying to open up and all that, but you are now helping them to build further walls against themselves. And then we must lead by example. Demonstrate the values and behaviors you expect from your team. The team leader must demonstrate it. Team leaders, leaders who lead by example inspire trust and respect. And that's why I always told people that write down the policies and all those things, so that the systems and the behaviors that you have captured are the ones responding to different behavioral infractions or other things. So you have already written it down. It is not because you understand that you are not responding with your emotion per time. The leader is a human being, and he can come to a meeting already angry from a previous meeting or from that. Now, if you didn't write down the rules and regulations, if you don't have down those standard operating procedures, standard responses to different things, if you didn't preconceive those things and you didn't write them down, that this is the way we will deal with this situation, you'll be dealing them according to your opinion, your emotion at time.
And you can't be fair. You can't be perceived to be fair and just.
You cannot be fair. But if it has been written down, everybody knows, and everybody is aware that this is the way we're going to respond to it. Each time, even if you want to respond by emotion, you cannot go against what is written down. So it's a standard response. That helps, standard response. So consistency, the consistency in implementing these strategies help to create an environment that nurtures high performance and enables the team to reach its full potential.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo, for sharing your words of experience, expertise in answering this question. And if you're just joining us, we have Mr. Adeola Gbadebo going further discussing on how to build high-performing teams. And he has spoken on how collective intelligence can be developed for a high-performing team. Mr. Gbadebo mentioned very salient points. He spoke to social dynamics. He spoke about communication patterns. He spoke about gender diversity, the need for collective accountability, shared responsibility among team members, the need to create communication channels to include feedback mechanism which must be handled promptly. He also spoke about the need for recognition and rewards, which is very important. People want to feel valued. He spoke about how to empower your team members, motivate your team members. Mr. Gbadebo, with what you have said, you mentioned one concept that is very important, which cannot be its level of importance cannot be overemphasized, and that is emotional intelligence. I am aware, and I know a lot of listeners are aware, that for any leader, you must possess this skill. It has moved from a nice to have skill to a must have for every leader. Now, I want to ask you, not for leadership alone, not just for leaders of teams. I want to ask you, how can we get even team members to develop emotional intelligence skills?
Thank you very much, Titi. Emotional intelligence is something, organizations must deliberately, train every member on. Being emotionally in every member of the organization. Now, whether you deliberately created teams in an organization or not, organizations are working in teams. Every unit is a team. A department is a team. If you have big organizations that have that are conglomerates and they have different divisions, that division is a team. And as long as human beings will be working with human beings, the more emotionally intelligent they are, the more successful will they be working together. The rate, if you respect me, and even if you are my leader and you show a lot of respect to me while, trying to ask me to do one thing or the other, because I am being respected, and then I will also respond with respect, But if you keep pulling people down continuously, consistently pulling people down, it will get, you cannot get the best out of that person. You need to continue to speak to the positive side of that person. Even when you're having appraisals, when you're having an appraisal and you are the one appraising people, you don't talk people down. You don't, so even if that person is not performing, at the, required level, you still need to speak to that person. First talk about the areas where the person is doing well, and you need to encourage that person to continue to explore that area and grow in that area. But you talk about, there's a way you talk about such things that, when you are able to talk to someone, we are talking to someone about areas where you need to develop, that you'll be inspiring instead of condemning. You need to inspire people to build on the areas. Exactly, in a constructive way. You need to inspire them. You need to challenge them positively to grow those areas of themselves. And you need to show them, let them see that, look, you can see that this aspect, you are really doing well and all that, and this is really good. But you see, we need a balance of it, because this is the effect of you not doing well in this other area. So these are the things. And then if you now need, if you have books, if you have tips, if you have, resources that you can, every team, every leader must be a resourceful person. You must be one person that people, when you talk to someone, you can recommend something. You can say, look, let me send you, something that you can read up on, and then it can help you. And then you always create scenarios, create scenarios, ask questions around scenarios, let people respond. And in that area, because you are creating those scenarios, they are not real events. They are events, they are scenarios that would happen as real events. But you've tackled it during scenario creation. You've created such scenarios and you're asking people to respond. And that place you are able to get people's response and guide the way they are supposed to respond. Now, we also, on every organization, it would be wise for organization to understand temperaments, and personality types, and the way those traits, affect people in in their social interactions. And so if the organization knows that, and they teach that, and everyone is able to know the merits and the demerits of their temperaments and personality types, then they'll be cautious, and they know how damaging some of those, behaviors can be. They'll be cautious and all that. For example, you have a sanguine who can make a joke out of anything. They can joke about anything, including people's poor performance. So you are making a joke out of it, but that's something that can get that person sacked. Do you understand? So the person sees you as an enemy. How can you be joking about this? That I'm about losing my job, and you are making a joke out of this? But sanguines maybe. So, but that is that person. So sanguines need to be sensitive. So you need to, in that area, because they are naturally insensitive people. How do you now build sensitivity in a naturally sensitive person? However, the melancholies are oversensitive. They are, the way they interpret things are. So you need to bring everybody to a standard level of understanding, even though you are not going to be changing their personality types, unchangeable anyway, and their and their temperaments.
Okay.
But you are going to help them to become emotionally sensitive. They understand, and even if they do it, they can quickly apologize and say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean that." And they can quickly respond and nip that in the bud, which is part of conflict resolution. So teaching emotional intelligence in an organization, training on emotional intelligence is very, very key. As long as people have to work with other people, emotional intelligence is key. Before, smart, organizations used to employ based on intelligence quotient, how intelligent, how brilliant that person is, and then they use tests, academic tests, theories, how you are able to respond to those things and all that. But these days, that's not the standard now. You can bring in a very intelligent person who does not know how to relate with anyone. They are going to leave him alone. And it's not going to get the necessary support that he needs. It's going to become a total failure, even though he's intelligent. But because it's not, even no matter how intelligent that person is, he can't, and he has poor emotional intelligence, he's not even going to be able to pass on knowledge to anybody. Because he doesn't know how to react, how to relate with people. He's not interacting with people. He's even rebuffing people up. People are
exactly.
When it comes, everybody just stays. They just want to stay away from such a person. There's no way. So emotional intelligence improves what I call the the more emotional intelligence grows in an organization, the lower the toxicity of that organization. Yeah, so nobody wants to work in a toxic environment. The reason why that environment is toxic is because there are people who are at the helms of affair who are not emotionally intelligent. You increase the emotional intelligence in that organization, the toxicity of that organization will automatically reduce. Both emotional intelligence and workplace toxicity, they are what we call mutually exclusive, or you can say they are inversely proportional. When one is going up, the other is going down. They are inversely proportional. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's it.
The emotional intelligence are compatible as an inverse relationship with toxic environment. So if the level of emotional intelligence is very high at its peak in an organization, it means that the level of toxicity in that environment would be at its lowest. Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo. Mr. Gbadebo has told us that EI, emotional intelligence, has an inverse relationship with toxic environment. That means that if emotional intelligence is at its peak in your organization, it means that the level of toxicity in that environment, in the business environment, will be at its lowest. Unexpectedly, there will be an uprise in the level of employee engagement and productivity. In fact, profit margin for an organization. Okay. Now, I want to find out from you, because we're talking about different levels of temperament, and because research has shown that the more people take turns talking in an organization, the better the level of performance of that team. Okay, so I want to find out from you. Some people are always at the extreme of any, temperament, of even of any types of temperament. Like I said, of temperament. Now we have introvert. Okay, now for those at the extreme end, that means extreme introvert. How do you get such people to talk? How do you get them to open their mind? How do you get them to talk? Because we know that conversation is very important. How do we get them to talk? What are those practical steps that if I'm faced as a team lead, I can apply to make people talk?
Okay, Titi. Now, introverted people are people that are very sensitive. The way they respond to, they are highly critical of even themselves. They are highly critical, and they are very sensitive about how people talk to them and how people talk to others. Now, so sometimes you are not directly talking to them. You are talking to someone else. Someone gives a point in a group, and then the way that person was attacked, that person is embarrassed. This person is not going to talk at all. You see, the person who has muttered the confidence to speak now looks like a fool. I don't want to make a fool of myself. Let me just keep quiet. And sometimes, because they are, introverted people, they are deep thinkers. They are highly innovative and very creative people, but they don't talk. Some of the best musicians in the world, some of the best writers, some of the either those who write scripts or those who write novels, those who have been able to invent things one way or the other. Many of them are in the category of melancholies. They are highly introverted people, because what that does for them is that they can completely cut themselves off from the distractions in the environment and concentrate on the things that matter to them. Now, such people, there's a level of trust that they will have before they begin to talk. Now, so the more the leader tries to create a safe environment, the more trust you will be building in the minds of such people. Now, to those people, everyone knows that trust is a social capital, and actually for these people, trust is the main capital. When they trust you, when they find themselves, those people that you see, everybody likes to talk to. Everybody wants to talk. Everyone likes to talk. Because the truth is that even if you are not talking, you are thinking. And thinking, you can hear your thoughts. So, we are not designed. The design of human beings is such that you are occupied with something. If you are not occupied with anything, you are not talking, you are not thinking, you are not doing anything, you are not walking, you are not running, if you are not doing anything like that, you are unconscious. And even in that state of being unconscious, your brain is working, it's doing something. You are the one who is not conscious of it. Because your sensitivities have been cut off from the actions of the brain. You think that. But sometimes when that person wakes up, maybe someone is in coma, and the person wakes up, the person can eventually recall some things that happen. And so some of them can appear as dreams. So the truth is that everyone wants to talk. But there are people who are careful about what they say because they don't want to be embarrassed. Now, so the more you are able to create a safe environment and a trusting environment for such people, the more you will get them to talk. So once the person crawls out of his shell, and then he says something And they're not going to say much. They're just going to probably, support or just create something to add on to what someone has said. And everybody says, yes. Oh, very good. That's very lovely. The person smiles within because he says, wow, that went well. That went well. So he's going to repeat and then now increase the volume of what he or she shares. And eventually you may be shocked that person can become the spokesperson of that group during the presentation. Why? Because the person now feels safe. And even though sanguines are probably the best communicators, they are not the most sensitive communicators. Do you understand? So if you have a mix of a sanguine and a melancholy, and they're going to do a presentation, and you're allowing them to do them in turns, while the sanguine takes care of the exacting part of it and shows the bright side of it, you want the melancholy to now talk about the detailed part of it, where he's reading out statistics, where that person is, because they are detailed people. So, and you need that skill in every organization. So, all the leader needs to do, all the concern of, the leader is to ensure that the team environment is safe and trusted.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo. So listeners, you have heard it from him. How do you get the introverts in your team to talk? So it starts with creating an environment where they can trust you. For them, like he said, trust for introverts is the main capital, not only the social capital to them, is the main capital for them. Okay, then create a safe environment and be careful with how you give feedback, not just to the introverts, but to every member of your team, because they are looking and you don't want them, to call out of their shell, but they are looking at how you have treated others or treating others. Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo. You mentioned something else when you were talking. You said it's important for gender diversity, that is important for every organization to adopt inclusive hiring practices. Okay, that you must ensure that even at the point of recruitment, you are conscious about gender diversity in your organization. Now, I want to ask you this, because someone we could think and say, look, must we sacrifice competence for gender diversity?
Thank you, Titi. Sometimes you need to look beyond competence and look at commitment.
Okay, I like that. So we need to look beyond competence
and look at commitment. Competence is good, but if you hire a highly competent one who has very low character, what do you do? What have you done? You've brought a destroyer into an organization. So if that person is very competent, but it's not going to be a committed person, he has some dent on some character. So I'm not asking people to sacrifice competence. You are looking at the competence. Maybe you are looking at a scale of 8 and you got a scale of 5 or 6, but there are other things you are able to say there. You can build. You saw this person is a sound character. Is open, is genuine, and all that. Some of those things are things that you cannot build because they are behavioral competencies. It will take a long time to do that. But you see, competence can be built. Competence, training can take care of competence. So when you bring in that person, you know that this person is not as competent as we would have wanted. You want to look at it, but you now understand that there is a deficient part of this person that can be, taken care of through training. So you deliberately provide the training.
Yes. Yeah, Mr. Gbadebo, I asked this question because I have, heard from people all around when they have a particular sex in a team, and the excuse they give to you is, look, that was the best we could get. Must we sacrifice competence on the name of gender diversity? So and what you are bringing about is important. Like, let us look beyond competence. Let's look more at commitment. I think that was also
beyond the organization, beyond the organization, let's talk about the nation. The nation. Now, so competence, character, capacity, they are built from, while we were very young, especially between the ages of maybe 3 and 8 years old, you need to do a lot of work in that area. Because once a child is 8 or 9 years old, the character of that child is already formed in his mind. He's just looking for a favorable atmosphere to express it. Now, so if that person has developed a terrible character along the line, once the person has that, once he sees that, environment, so he is going to display those characteristics now, which are negative characteristics. Now, but so if we ensure that while people are growing up, whether male or female, we ensure that their competence is being built alongside with their character, and then their capacity to be able to handle things, then you are going to be, you will not have that issue, you won't have that problem at the stage of recruitment into an organization. So I'm saying that we need to look beyond that space of recruitment. We need to go lower and ensure that we reinforce that foundation so that people can grow with that foundation. And what you will not have is that you have a lot of people who are highly competent, who have sound character, who have a lot of capacity, and you are torn in between picking which one. Everyone is qualified. All these people are qualified. How do we select there now? And then it is at that rate, at that time, you'll now be looking at, okay, so who is more competent than the others? In which areas are people competent? Who have the highest, level of competence in the areas that matter to us as an organization? That's where you now begin to distill down to that. But so I don't want us to say that, yes, we want to sacrifice because we need to employ a female, because we are hell bent on employing a female, that we will now employ any female. We have to continue to look for that female we will get. There are highly competent male and female, people out there. You need to continue, and sometimes if you cannot get from the people that have been thrown from you from, recruitment agencies and all that, maybe you need to poach someone from another organization into your own organization. But when you poach that person, you want to ensure that it's someone who can also build teams of highly competent people, so you don't have that shortage anymore.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo. And I like what you said, which is to look beyond competence, commitment, and you should even look beyond the organization, because whether you like it or not, the environment has a role to play. People are raised in the society, so it's better we take it back, raise people with the right character, and that speaks to how committed they will be at the end of the day when they get into organization. Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo. It has been another revealing, another impactful session with you as usual. Thank you so much for joining us today again. And for our listeners, I'm sure that you have learned one or two things from Mr. Gbadebo. It's always a pleasure from us here, and it's always a privilege to have him join us every time to share in his world of experience, knowledge base. Thank you, Mr. Gbadebo. Well, do you have any closing words for our listeners?
Okay, so this is what I want to talk about. I want to say that every organizational leader, people at the helm of affairs in the nation, must empower their organizations through collaborative excellence. They must empower their organizations through collaborative excellence. You need to nurture a culture of growth, resilience, and positive impact. If you do that in every area, every goal that organization sets for itself, and even as they keep raising the bar, they will keep achieving those things, because there's a system that ensures that success, and they can always repeat that cycle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbadebo, for those inspiring closing thoughts. It's important, you have heard it all from him. It's important to note that high-performing teams are deliberately built. So if we can deploy all of the strategies that Mr. Gbadebo has spoken, I'm sure that our teams will become high performers. I'm going to leave us with the words of Henry Ford, who says that if everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself. Well, for feedback, comments, questions, kindly send a mail to us at contact@thearmorgate.org. I'll take it again. If you have any question, comment, or feedback, kindly send a mail to us at contact@thearmorgate.org, or you can send a message through our WhatsApp line +234 8079 574151 +234 8079 574151. You can also check us on our Facebook, The Armorgate, and also our Instagram page, armorgate.org. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you have learned anything, kindly click the like button. We hope that you will join us same time, same station next week. It's bye from here. I remain Titilola Ogushono.